This video is sponsored by ANZ Fire, the Australian New Zealand Foundation for Individual Rights and Egoism. There are no better tools for promoting rational self-interest and individual rights than the novels of Ayn Rand. Inspiring characters, dramatic plots, and a clear vision of life's great potential all combine to excite young readers. The Ayn Rand Institute in the US runs essay contests for students worldwide. This year, the first prize for Atlas Shrugged is $25,000, for The Fountainhead $10,000, and for Anthem $2,000. All in US dollars, so that first prize for Atlas Shrugged translates to about 35,000 Aussie dollars. Additionally, there'll be a prize of 1,000 Australian dollars for non-students up to the age of 25 in Australia. The deadlines are 25th of April, less than 3 weeks for Anthem and The Fountainhead, and the 19th of September for Atlas Shrugged. By the way, Anthem can be read in less than 2 hours. An easy read during the school holidays. So spread the word to young people wherever you find them. You might even have a few in your own home. And for more details, visit the ANZ Fire Facebook page. Links in the description and the comments. Now, one of the saddest things of the current moment we find ourselves in is that the more people we need to stand up for free speech and freedom of expression, we actually have the opposite reaction from government. In their panic over recent events, their solution is to call for more censorship, to stop the public from seeing things our political overlords deem to be objectionable. What's worse is that there's bipartisan support for such censorship, and worse still, public companies are more than willing to do their bidding. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said recently that there should be clear consequences for companies whose platforms are used to facilitate and normalise horrific acts. Well, if you want a foolproof method to prevent people from live streaming horrific acts on Facebook, the only solution is to shut down live streaming. How can YouTube stop such videos being uploaded to a platform where 500 hours of video is uploaded every minute? 720,000 hours of video per day. The only way to make sure is to shut it down. And of course, some of these companies are only too willing to fall in line. In late March, Facebook announced it will ban praise or support for white nationalism and white separatism as part of a stepped-up crackdown on hate speech. So how's that going to work exactly? According to progressive libtards, praise of Donald Trump constitutes support for white nationalism. What if you make the very reasonable observation about why diversity advocates don't argue for more diversities in countries like Japan or Ghana? Why it's only white majority countries that need all this diversity? Is that supporting white separatism? Australia's Prime Censor Scott Morrison went on to state that it's unacceptable to treat the internet as an ungoverned space. Actually, that's the great thing about it, or it used to be the great thing about it, because it is regulated now. Just take a look at what happened in Europe with the passing of Article 13. And it's not like Facebook, YouTube and Twitter are free-for-alls. They already have terms of service which are onerous, which often result in organisations and people being censored that shouldn't be. Take, for example, what has happened recently to the South Australian and Tasmanian Facebook pages of the Australian LDP. They're completely gone. Here's a shot of the South Australian page before it went down, showing posts back to August last year. As you can see, they don't post that much, and when they do, it's basically party platform stuff, like a protest against bicycle helmets or support for the legalisation of vaping or cannabis, and promoting local LDP candidates. Also note the posts stop on March 13th. They've been unable to make a post in the aftermath of the Christchurch attack. So it looks like they're collateral damage in Facebook's rush to cover their own arses. And as David Limbrick, the LDP member of the Victorian Legislative Council, noted on his Facebook page, not taken down yet, considering we are likely only weeks away from a federal election, to have a company like Facebook remove state pages of a political party with 4 elected members without reason or recourse is outrageous. And I was also able to get a quote today from the soon-to-be member of the Legislative Council in New South Wales, David Lionhelm. For a while we've been concerned that Facebook is taking on the role of censor, removing material it does not like. This is a pretty arbitrary process given its criteria open to wide interpretation. As a private business, Facebook is entitled to do as it likes. But those of us who have been censored or who are affected by Facebook's censoring are also entitled to take our business elsewhere. It's time we did so. Facebook needs us more than we need Facebook. Spot on. And what of our stunning and brave Australian telco industry? Without any prompting from the federal government, they collectively decided to block certain sites. Telstra blocked 4chan, 8chan and something called Vote, which I've never even heard of, but thanks for that, Telstra, because now I'll be sure to go and check it out. They also blocked the blog Zero Hedge and LiveLeak. Optus and Vodafone also blocked some of the same domains. And here's what Telstra had to say about their decision. We understand this may inconvenience some legitimate users of these sites, but these are extreme circumstances, and we feel this is the right thing to do. Well, as a customer, let me tell you how I feel. I don't give a shit what you think is the right thing to do. I pay you for a service, and that service is to access the internet, not to tell me what I can and can't watch. But all this is just lip service anyway, because I and many others will just use a VPN and go around our self-appointed censors. Now, in the case of corporations, I suspect a lot of this is just arse covering because they don't want to get fined by overzealous governments who want to appear to be doing something. And to be fair, they have a legitimate concern given the recent amendment to the criminal code known as the Sharing of Abhorrent Violent Material Bill, which passed both houses last Thursday. Now, I'll leave a link to the bill if you're interested in some light reading. It's 36 pages long, but there's a good little summary about the problems with the bill itself, as well as the process by which it was passed, courtesy of LDP Senator Duncan Spender.
G'day, Duncan Spender here for the Liberal Democrats here in Parliament during Estimates Week. Here's the bill, Sharing Abhorrent Violent Material Bill. This was a bill that was passed in the Senate last night, but the funny thing is, it wasn't introduced, at least circulated to us last night. So senators were asked to vote on a bill that they didn't even see. That is a new low for democracy in this country. There are often stages where bills are passed without there being a proper committee process and people aren't allowed to give evidence and make submissions. But this is the first instance I've ever heard of a bill being passed without it even being circulated. It wasn't on the Parliament House website. It was a complete travesty. Major party politicians in this country would have voted for a bill that says kill every firstborn, because if Bill Shorten and Morrison, the Prime Minister, said to vote for a bill that they haven't seen, they'd do it. The bill could have done that and it would have been law, because we have major party politicians who don't care what they vote for. Anyway, this bill has problems with it. It looks like it bans S&M websites because it doesn't properly define torture as being non-consensual, and it has a gaping hole. It basically says that internet service providers can't do various things, but says radio and TV can do whatever they want. They've completely forgotten broadcasting. It's a complete sham. We're going to the clerks now to see if we can do something about it.
Doesn't that give you confidence in the democratic process? And we should mention Bill the Bullshitter's comments, since he will more than likely be our next prime censor in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. Australia's police forces need a common definition of hate crimes so they can be tracked. This country needs to be better at recording hate crime. You can't beat what you can't measure. Yes, but who's going to decide what a hate crime is, Billy boy? You and your party of identitarians? Talk about the fox guarding the hen house. As I said in our podcast a couple of weeks ago, at the heart of attempts to censor by governments is a broad distrust of the general public, that the average person in the street cannot be trusted to watch, read or listen to certain things for fear they'll go nuts, commit some horrific act and live stream it on Facebook. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want a government that has such contempt for its citizens. So speaking for myself, I think it's time to vote for a minor party that treats me like an adult and leaves me the hell alone. I'll see you next time.